Jason Reyes with Paul Mitchell. If you notice here, I'm going to start this haircut by creating a division that's going to come from the front hairline to slightly behind the ear. I'm going to repeat that on the opposite side and clip the hair for better control. In the back area, you notice how I'm going to maintain some of that weight and showing the cowlicks and growth patterns and also the bottom hairline. Through the sides, I want to maintain some of that weight above the parietal. I'm going to grab my comb in that C-shaped manner and I'm going to start cutting, making sure that that clipper blade is nice and flat to the comb as I start cutting from the front towards the back, removing bulk and maintaining weight from the parietal up. Then I'm going to go in with my number 3. With my number 3, I'm going to start off with that open blade, working my way out. From the bottom, if you notice, as I start working upward, my hand is very light and I'm working against the curvature of the head shape. So I want to make sure that as I'm cutting upward, that guard is slightly coming off of the head shape. Once I do that open, I'm going to go in closed and repeat in the same manner and just start working myself just slightly below. Then I'll go in and switch to a number 2 if you notice here. With my number 2, I start always with that open blade, continuing from the front towards the back. Notice here how I'm slightly going lower from where I initially started with my number 3. I'm also working in a slight curvature because I want to maintain a little bit of more weight towards the back. Then I'll go in with my 1.5. With my 1.5, what I'm going to do is starting at that front, working towards the back. And if you see how I start feathering now with my clipper. So the reason why I went top to bottom is because I want to diminish some of that weight. So I want to make sure that the haircut on the sides isn't creating too much volume or too much weight graduated towards the out. After I've completed that, if you notice here, I switch my clipper and I go in with the open blade and I start tapering that sideburn area. As I taper that, I'll go in with my 1 open and start blending that in and switching between my 1 and my open blade. Once I've diminished and blended that, I'm gonna go to the opposite side. The key on this is setting in your guide first. The curvature of the head is gonna dictate this, so I'm just working to the temporal area. And then I'll go in with my 1.5 and start blending that upward. And once I see that diminished line, I'll go in with my number 1 guard. And this is just to go in and refine any little bits of length that I may have. Through the back area, I started with that open blade. And if you notice on this, I have a curvature through that established guide that I'm creating. Then I'll go in with my 1 open and start working my way down to closed. And the same manner I'm gonna do with my open blade. Notice how my hand is very light as I'm working, blending in that line. As I start to diminish that, when I get to that weight line itself that I created, you'll notice that it's a lot more compressed, the movement that I have, slightly closing and opening that blade as needed, because the key here is to make that hair look diffused all the way through. Then I'll switch in back to my 1.5, and this is just to diffuse the line that I've created as I move forward, and switching between my 1.5 to my 1, doing the same and repeating on both sides. If you notice here also, I started from the back towards the front, still maintaining that weight. If you notice at the back occipital bone area, because I'm going to need that to support the haircut that you'll see when we cut the top. Here you can see from the sides how that clipper is just very light-handed as I'm working my way and just using the corners of it to go in and diminish any little bits that I may see of darkness. As I start working through the back hairline, you notice with my trimmer, I just slightly fold the ear down and I use the corner of my trimmer to create that curve. And then I work from the bottom up and then I'll work from the front to the back. The same as I'll do around that front hairline. I just want to keep it very natural looking, but I just want to eliminate and just get rid of just those little hairs that kind of stick out sometimes from the hairline. So through the back area, I'll do the same thing, and on the opposite side, I'll mirror that. After I've completed that, I'll go in with my scissor over comb. The key on the scissor over comb is that the comb is going to be the one that's going to maintain that length. After I've done that scissor over comb to remove the bulk from the parietal ridge area, I'll take a section through the top. And if you notice, I went from that apex and took a section from side to side. And then I start taking diagonal back sections. These sections are going to have just a little bit of elevation. As I work towards the center, my elevation is going to be incrementing. The key on this is that the center is going to be the longest point of that haircut. So if you notice on both sides, I start slightly getting a guide from the hair that I cut underneath, and then the top of it is going to continue to be disconnected. But remember, this hair is going to be worn back, so that disconnection you're not really going to see once the hair is placed into its style. I'm going to take a section now from front to back, and I'm going to use the back as my guide to connect that towards the front. So I'm cutting a flat line as I work towards the front, and I continue taking sections parallel to that, and again my elevation continues to increase as I move towards the center of the head. If you notice, I cut one past center on each side as I elevate that hair and maintain that straight line towards the front. I like combing the hair back into the position that it's going to be worn, so that way I can see how the hair has responded to the haircut. On the opposite side, I work in the same exact manner, connecting that guide from the back towards the front with a straight across line and increasing my elevation. Grooming spray, one of my favorite products to utilize. This is going to help me control the volume of the hair. And once I've applied a good amount of my grooming spray, I'm going to go in with my NEURO dry and my 413 brush, and I'm going to start working from that base and making sure that I maintain that volume through the haircut. Once I've dried the hair with that volume all the way through, I'm going to complete this with my dry paste from Maverick. Dry paste is one of my favorite products to utilize when I want a matte finish, and also it's going to help me enhance that texture. You can see the amount of volume that was created utilizing Maverick grooming spray. Through the back area, notice how we maintain some of that weight, so it creates a good balance with that front. Hope you enjoyed this tutorial.